In the final hours before dawn, the Nile and its banks rest in serene stillness, a quiet world held between night and day. The sky, deep with lingering indigo, begins to lighten imperceptibly, a faint blush creeping along the horizon. Stars twinkle softly, fewer now, their reflections mirrored gently in the river's calm surface. Moonlight mingles with the first hints of approaching daylight, casting silver and pale gold across boats, reeds, and distant temples. A gentle breeze stirs, brushing reeds along the banks in subtle, rhythmic whispers. Boats tied to posts sway lightly with the river's slow pulse, oars resting, nets still in place from the night's labour. Smoke from small fires lingers faintly in the cool air, carrying aromas of simmering grains and distant cooking, mingling with the earthy scent of damp mud and lotus blossoms along the water's edge. The world seems to breathe quietly, synchronized with the river, inviting each listener to slow their own heartbeat in step with the pulse of life along the Nile. Families still rest, tucked within homes built of sun-warmed mud brick. Mothers check sleeping children with soft movements. Fathers adjust mats or stand quietly, observing the river's patient flow, and elders rest in gentle contentment. The faint illumination of lanterns and lingering embers glows softly, merging seamlessly with the cooling air outside. Even the smallest movements, soft steps, a careful hand brushing a mat, the rustle of fabric, blend into the hypnotic rhythm of night, undisturbed, gentle, and unhurried. The river mirrors the sky as it begins to lighten, reflecting the deepening indigo of night, slowly giving way to the first hints of pink and gold. Ripples glide across the surface, gently breaking the mirrored patterns of stars and moonlight. Each subtle wave carries reflections, shadows, and textures downstream, as if the river itself is preparing for the arrival of day while maintaining the calm of night. Boats float quietly, tied loosely or drifting slightly, their mirrored images stretching and shifting across the silvered surface. Reeds sway softly in the morning breeze, their thin stalks brushing against one another, producing a faint whispering sound that complements the slow lap of water against the riverbank. Frogs croak gently, now gradually slowing as the approach of dawn alters their nocturnal rhythm. Insects hum faintly, a delicate undercurrent that gradually fades, giving way to the first subtle calls of birds stirring in hidden perches along the reeds and courtyards. Every sound, however minor, contributes to a continuous, hypnotic symphony, guiding the listener into a reflective, meditative state. Boats drift softly along the current. Fishermen may rise briefly, lifting nets, adjusting oars, or checking lines from the night's labor. Each movement is slow and deliberate, harmonized with the river's pulse. The occasional soft plop of water as a fish is freed merges with the lapping of the river, the whisper of reeds, and the faint hum of insects to create a gentle auditory tapestry. Lanterns flicker faintly along boat decks or posts, reflecting as tiny golden specks in the rippled water, complementing the silver glow of moonlight and the first pale hues of approaching day. Temples remain serene, their distant outlines softened in the early glow. Columns rise silently above the sand, shadows stretching across the river, softened by the blend of moonlight and first light. Lanterns in distant courtyards cast faint glimmers on hieroglyphs, creating delicate, shifting patterns mirrored in the river. The temple's presence is constant, grounding the river and its banks in a timeless stillness. Even as the world begins to awaken, the sacred spaces remain patient, steady, and reassuring. Homes along the banks reflect the gradual change in light. Oil lamps glow faintly, their warmth blending with the emerging light of dawn. Families stir with gentle movements. Mothers check blankets, smooth mats, and prepare quietly. Fathers adjust jars, sweep courtyards, or pause to observe the river. Children begin to stir slowly, stretching beneath blankets. Every motion is deliberate, soft, and harmonized with the surrounding river, reeds, and distant temples. The early signs of day arrive gently, without abruptness, preserving the meditative calm of the pre-dawn world. Small creatures begin their subtle activity. Birds stir first, calling softly from hidden perches, their gentle songs carried across the still water. Frogs gradually cease their nightly croaks, settling into quiet. Insects hum faintly, fading as the approaching light alters their rhythm. Cats move stealthily through the courtyards, careful not to disturb the fragile calm. Even the smallest fish in the river rise and fall, sending gentle ripples across mirrored stars and moonlight, blending seamlessly into the slowly changing soundscape. Reflections on the river continue to mesmerize. The silver glow of moonlight shifts subtly with the first blush of dawn, merging with reflections of boats, reeds, and distant temples. Stars, now fewer, reflect faintly in the rippling water, creating patterns that shift slowly with the river's movement. Ripples distort these reflections just enough to create a gentle, hypnotic effect, drawing the eyes and calming the mind. Moonlight and the first pale light of day interweave, painting silver and gold across water, sand, and vegetation. Families awaken gradually. Children stretch and yawn softly. Mothers move with calm attentiveness. Fathers resume tasks from the previous night, and elders rise slowly, observing the river's patient rhythm. The warm glow of lamps blends with the cool, soft air, merging with the scents of earth, river, and faint lotus blossoms. Every gesture, sound, and scent is part of the hypnotic pattern, linking human activity to the slow pulse of water and wind along the banks. The river itself remains a steady companion. Its slow, deliberate pulse continues as boats sway gently, reeds rustle in soft rhythm, and lanterns cast shimmering reflections across ripples. The distant temple silhouettes remain calm, their shadows stretching across the sand and mirrored water. Animals and birds add a gentle, natural layer of sound, while humans move quietly within the rhythm. The night's hypnotic cadence gradually blends with the early signs of day, creating a transitional space that is both meditative and restorative. Air carries delicate scents of river, earth, distant cooking fires, and the subtle perfume of lotus blooms. Each inhalation brings calm and presence. Each exhalation releases tension. A soft morning breeze brushes across reeds, boats, and mud brick walls, moving the entire landscape in a gentle, measured rhythm. Every sensory impression reinforces the hypnotic effect. The eyes follow reflections, the ears absorb subtle sounds, and the mind gradually surrenders to the serene transition from night to day. The interplay of light, shadow, and reflection becomes increasingly gentle. Moonlight retreats slowly as the sky blushes with dawn. Lanterns flicker softly, casting gold onto sand and water, their reflections stretching across the river. Stars fade gradually, mirrored faintly in the gentle ripples. Reeds bend in the soft wind, boats drift lightly, and small animals begin to stir. Each element contributes to the hypnotic, meditative pulse that persists through the final hours of night. Families complete their morning rituals softly. Children rise with minimal motion. Mothers adjust blankets and mats. Fathers prepare small tasks quietly. Every gesture aligns with the river's rhythm, the movement of reeds, and the soft stirring of nocturnal and diurnal creatures. The world along the Nile holds itself gently between night and day, a liminal space of calm, safety, and continuity. The first hints of dawn stretch slowly across the sky, softening the deep indigo of night into muted shades of pale blue and silver. The stars fade gradually, mirrored faintly in the rippling surface of the Nile, as if the river itself is holding on to the last traces of night while welcoming the gentle light of day. Moonlight lingers, brushing boats and reeds with a quiet silver glow that merges seamlessly with the soft blush of early morning. Reeds sway gently along the banks, moved by a delicate breeze that carries the faint scent of wet mud, drying reeds, and distant cooking fires. Their soft whispers blend with the faint croaks of frogs settling for the last time, and the hum of insects that are beginning to fade. The gentle lapping of water against sand and boat holes continues, steady and reassuring, as the river flows with its slow, measured pulse. Even the smallest sound, the brushing of reeds against a boat, the soft splash of a fish, or the rustle of a cat moving quietly along the bank, adds texture to the pre-dawn calm. Boats tied to posts or floating lightly in the current begin to respond to the subtle changes in light and wind. A fisherman rises slowly, lifting a net with deliberate care, adjusting oars and checking lines from the night's labor. His movements are synchronized with the river's gentle rhythm, absorbed into the continuous pulse of water and reeds. Lanterns sway faintly, casting flickering reflections across the rippled surface, blending with the first soft illumination of dawn. Across the river, temples stand serene and constant. Their tall columns and carved hieroglyphs are softened in the mingling light of moon and early sun, their shadows stretching across the sand and water. The faint glow of lanterns in distant courtyards illuminate stone surfaces in delicate, shifting patterns that are reflected in the river. These sacred spaces maintain their calm, a stabilizing presence for the river, boats, homes, and wildlife alike. Families begin to stir gently. Mothers rise quietly, smoothing mats and checking sleeping children. Fathers adjust small items, prepare containers of water, or pause to observe the gentle flow of the river. Children stretch and yawn softly, the slow rhythm of their awakening harmonizing with the pulse of water, reeds, and the first faint calls of morning birds. Every motion is deliberate, unhurried, and absorbed into the larger hypnotic flow of pre-dawn life. Birds become more active, their subtle calls floating across the still river. Small flocks stir in the reeds, their gentle songs harmonizing with the low croaks of frogs and the fading hum of nocturnal insects. The rising light accentuates the movement of water, reeds, and boats, creating reflections that shimmer and shift with every tiny ripple. Even distant animals, still hidden among vegetation, begin to move softly, integrating their sounds and motions into the slow, meditative rhythm of the morning. The river reflects this quiet transformation exquisitely. Boats, reeds, and distant temples are mirrored in the water, stretched and softened by gentle ripples. Moonlight mingles with the first glow of dawn, casting silver and pale gold across sand, water, and vegetation. Lanterns flicker gently, their reflections merging with the soft, natural illumination, Every motion, sound, and shadow contributes to a hypnotic landscape, inviting a calm, reflective awareness of the world along the Nile. The air carries layered scents. The cool, wet earth of the banks, drying reeds, faint smoke from hearths, and the subtle sweetness of lotus flowers floating near the water. Each inhalation brings calm. Each exhalation releases tension. The gentle morning breeze carries these scents across the river, over boats, and into homes, blending with the soft sounds of wildlife and human activity. Every sensory element reinforces the hypnotic rhythm of pre-dawn life, guiding the mind into a state of quiet presence. Reflections grow more complex as light increases. Ripples on the water catch both silver moonlight and the soft gold of early sun, creating a subtle, shifting tapestry of illumination. Boats drift slightly, lanterns flicker softly, and the mirrored shapes of reeds, temples, and distant hills stretch and move in gentle patterns. Even small animals' movements are captured in the reflections. A cat prowls quietly along a courtyard, birds stir in the reeds, and fish disturb the surface. The river absorbs all of it, reflecting both night and the first traces of day in an endless meditative flow. Families' movements continue in quiet harmony with the river. Mothers prepare mats, check children, and begin gentle household tasks. Fathers adjust small items, move lightly across courtyards, and pause to watch the river. Children stretch, yawn, and slowly awaken to the gentle rhythm of pre-dawn. Each motion is synchronized with the sound of water, wind, reeds, and distant animals. The world feels entirely balanced, still, and rhythmic, each small gesture contributing to the hypnotic pulse of life along the Nile. Even as light strengthens, the night's subtle sounds persist briefly. Frogs croak their last calls, insects hum faintly, and the soft plop of fish breaking the surface adds texture to the auditory landscape. Reeds continue their whispering dance with the wind. Boats respond to gentle currents, and distant temple lanterns flicker softly. Every sensory detail blends into a continuous slow rhythm, guiding the mind toward awareness of the world in transition, without disturbing the calm of pre-dawn. The river's pulse remains patient and steady. Boats sway, reeds whisper, lanterns flicker, and shadows shift softly. Temples continue their quiet vigilance. Families and animals move gently, harmonized with the river's hypnotic rhythm. The gradual approach of dawn adds warmth and soft illumination, enhancing reflections and textures without disrupting the meditative quality of the scene. The world is fully awake, yet completely gentle, a slow, continuous, reflective rhythm bridging night and day. The sky lightens imperceptibly, a soft wash of pale blue spreading across the horizon. Moonlight fades gradually, mingling with the earliest traces of sun, casting a silver-gold glow across the water and sand. The Nile reflects this transformation, the mirrored stars diminishing, their glimmers replaced by a soft gleam of the rising day. Ripples move slowly across the surface, carrying reflections of boats, reeds, and distant temple silhouettes in a mesmerizing, gentle dance. Each movement, however slight, is mirrored in a hypnotic flow, extending the calm of the night into the first hours of morning. Reeds along the riverbank continue their gentle swaying, each stalk brushing softly against its neighbor. Their whispered rustle blends seamlessly with the soft lap of water against boats and shore, the faint hum of fading nocturnal insects, and the emerging delicate calls of early birds. Frogs, having completed their nightly chorus, now retreat into shaded pools, leaving the air quieter, punctuated by the first stirrings of life awakening today. Every movement, every sound, merges into a slow, meditative rhythm that fills the senses without ever demanding attention. Boats drift lightly with the current. Fishermen begin to stir more actively, lifting nets, adjusting oars, and checking lines prepared during the night. Each motion is deliberate and careful, in harmony with the river's pulse, a quiet choreography repeated for countless generations. Lanterns flicker faintly, their golden light mingling with silver moonlight, and the first blush of sunrise mirrored in the gently rippling water. Even the tiniest ripple, caused by a hand brushing water or a fish breaking the surface, contributes to the hypnotic cadence of the river's early morning. Temples on the distant banks catch the softening light. Columns, statues, and hieroglyphs are softened by the pale dawn, their shadows stretching across sand and mirrored water. Lanterns in temple courtyards flicker weakly, their reflections extending in gentle, broken patterns across the surface. The temples remain steadfast, silent, their presence grounding the river and its banks in stability. They have watched countless nights and countless dawns, their silent guardianship a comforting rhythm in the slowly waking landscape. Homes along the river begin to shift gently with morning routines. Mothers rise slowly, smoothing mats and blankets, checking on children still half asleep. Fathers move lightly, arranging jars, adjusting household items, or pausing to observe the river's steady flow. Children yawn, stretch, and blink sleepily, their motions merging seamlessly into the surrounding rhythm. The glow of lamps mingles with the early light of day, casting a warm, gentle hue across walls, sand, and courtyards. Every gesture is slow, deliberate, and harmonized with the river, reeds, and distant temple silhouettes. Birds become increasingly active. Small flocks stir in reeds and trees along the banks, their gentle chirping weaving a delicate tapestry of sound over the river. Each note merges with the soft hum of insects, the retreating croak of frogs, and the gentle lapping of water, creating a layered, meditative symphony. Even distant animals contribute quietly, their faint movements absorbed into the rhythm of the river. The world awakens slowly, yet fully, without abruptness, preserving the hypnotic calm that defines these early hours. Reflections on the river deepen the sense of stillness and continuity. Boats, reeds, and temples are mirrored perfectly, the ripples adding subtle undulations that draw the eye and calm the mind. Moonlight fades, replaced by soft gold from the rising sun. Lanterns flicker faintly, their reflections dancing across ripples, merging seamlessly with natural illumination. Every motion, every sound, and every reflection becomes part of a unified, hypnotic pulse, a slow, continuous thread that links night to day. Families' movements are careful, gentle, and deliberate. Mothers adjust mats and blankets, preparing for the day ahead. Fathers move with quiet attentiveness, finishing last tasks from the night or observing the river. Children stir slowly, stretching and yawning, merging with the rhythm of the environment. Every movement is synchronized with the pulse of water, the sway of reeds, the distant calls of birds, and the faint light that gradually paints the sky. The world is fully alive yet entirely calm, each action contributing to the hypnotic, reflective atmosphere. The river continues its patient flow. Boats drift softly, reeds whisper in the breeze, lanterns flicker in tandem with early morning light, and shadows lengthen across sand and water. Distant temples remain serene, silent witnesses to the slow transition from night to day. Animals move subtly, cats prowling quietly, birds singing softly, fish breaking the surface gently. The entire landscape is unified in a continuous meditative rhythm, guiding the mind and senses into a state of calm and reflection. The air carries gentle scents, the wet earth of the riverbank, drying reeds, faint smoke from hearth fires, and the subtle perfume of lotus flowers. Each inhalation draws calm, and each exhalation releases tension. The wind moves softly through the reeds and across boats and courtyards, touching every element along the river with a continuous, measured rhythm. Every sensory detail, sound, scent, movement and reflection reinforces the hypnotic flow of early morning along the Nile. Even as dawn strengthens, the night's residual stillness remains. Boats respond slowly to the current. Reeds sway in measured patterns. Lanterns flicker softly, and distant temples continue their quiet presence. Birds, insects, and animals contribute subtly, integrating with human movement and the pulse of water. Every sensory element merges into one cohesive, continuous rhythm. A slow, gentle meditation that bridges night and day seamlessly. Families prepare to rise fully, maintaining the calm and stillness of the riverbank. Children stretch, mothers move softly, and fathers resume small tasks, their movements absorbed into the flow of the river and the gentle swaying of reeds. Lantern light fades gradually as sunlight increases, casting soft gold across water, sand, and boats. The reflections on the river shift accordingly, silver and gold merging in a quiet, mesmerizing tableau. Every movement, every sound, every scent contributes to the hypnotic rhythm of life along the Nile in these final pre-dawn hours. The sky is no longer fully dark, a soft gradient of pale gold and pink creeping across the horizon. The moon has faded, leaving only a few stars faintly twinkling, mirrored in the river's calm surface. The Nile flows steadily, its reflective waters catching the first hints of sunrise. Each ripple, each gentle sway of a boat or brush of a reed appears amplified in the soft morning light, creating a slow, mesmerizing rhythm. Reeds along the banks sway continuously in the early morning breeze, brushing softly against one another, producing gentle whispers that mingle with the soft lap of water against sand and boat hulls. Frogs remain still in shaded pools, the croaking of the night fully ceased. Insects hum faintly as they retreat from the approaching light, replaced by the delicate calls of early birds, their song stretching across the river and into the quiet courtyards of homes. Every sound, every movement contributes to a slow, meditative rhythm, a hypnotic chorus that flows seamlessly into the day. Boats respond gently to the river's slow current. Fishermen lift nets, adjust oars, and prepare for the first tasks of morning, their movements deliberate and unhurried. The occasional soft splash of water or brush of a hand across a rope is mirrored in the calm river, doubling the hypnotic effect. Lanterns on boat decks flicker faintly, mingling with the growing warmth of early sunlight, casting soft golden reflections across water and sand. Even the smallest ripple, the movement of a single reed, or the subtle motion of a fish breaking the surface, adds to the meditative continuity of the river. Temples across the river glow softly in the first light. Their columns, statues, and carved hieroglyphs are softened by the pale sunrise, their shadows long and gentle, mirrored faintly in the water. Lanterns within distant courtyards continue to cast flickering glimmers, reflecting on the river in delicate patterns. These sacred spaces maintain their calm, watching over the riverbanks, as they have for centuries, a reassuring presence harmonizing with the rhythms of boats, homes, reeds, and wildlife. Homes along the banks begin the day slowly. Mothers rise, smoothing mats and blankets, checking children with gentle attentiveness. Fathers move with quiet care, adjusting small items, preparing vessels of water, or pausing to observe the river's calm surface. Children stretch, yawn, and awaken slowly, their motions synchronized with the gentle pulse of water, the swaying of reeds, and the first bird songs. Lanterns and hearth fires fade gradually, replaced by soft sunlight that touches walls, sand, and boats with warm, golden light. Every movement is deliberate, absorbed into the larger rhythm of pre-dawn life. Birds grow more active, their calls layering across the river. Small flocks rise from reeds and trees, singing softly, merging with the gentle lap of water and the whisper of early wind. Insects fade entirely, leaving the first natural symphony of day. The harmonious, soothing sounds of bird calls, flowing water, and reeds swaying in rhythm. Cats move quietly across courtyards, exploring the banks, while fish rise and fall beneath the surface, sending faint ripples across mirrored reflections. The entire environment participates in a subtle, slow meditation, bridging night and day seamlessly. Reflections on the river capture this gradual transformation beautifully. Boats, reeds, distant temples, and early birds are mirrored perfectly in the gently rippling water. Moonlight has faded, leaving the soft, golden hues of sunrise, mirrored and refracted across each ripple. Lanterns that remain flicker faintly, blending with the natural illumination. Every reflection, shadow, and movement contributes to a hypnotic, continuous rhythm, drawing the eye and calming the mind. Even the faintest ripple or gentle sway of a boat reinforces the meditative pulse of the river. Families continue their morning routines slowly. Children rise fully, stretching and yawning. Mothers adjust blankets and mats with careful attention, and fathers move deliberately, preparing for the day's first tasks. Every motion harmonizes with the rhythm of the river, the gentle swaying of reeds, and the awakening of small creatures. The world along the Nile exists in perfect balance, fully alive yet entirely calm, each movement contributing to a hypnotic meditative pulse. The river itself continues its patient flow. Boats drift, reeds whisper, lanterns fade, and shadows stretch across sand and water. Temples remain serene and quiet, distant yet grounding. Animals move subtly. Cats prowl, birds call and flutter, fish disturb the surface with occasional ripples. Every sound, movement, and reflection integrates into a single, continuous rhythm. The first light of dawn amplifies the reflections, stretching silver and gold across water and sand, highlighting the gentle sway of reeds, the curve of boat hulls, and the outlines of distant temples. Air carries a delicate mix of scents: wet earth, drying reeds, faint traces of lingering smoke, and subtle lotus fragrance. Each inhalation brings calm. Each exhalation releases tension. The soft morning breeze moves across boats, courtyards, and reeds, uniting every element of the landscape in a measured, continuous rhythm. Every sound, movement, and sensory impression contributes to the hypnotic, meditative quality, guiding the mind into reflection, relaxation, and gentle awareness of the day's arrival. Even the smallest disturbances integrate seamlessly. A boat drifting slightly, a fish breaking the water's surface, or a bird landing in the reeds adds texture without disruption. Shadows lengthen and shift with the sun. Reflections shimmer across water, and lanterns fade entirely. The world seems both still and alive, perfectly balanced in the final moments before full daylight. The river's pulse, reeds, boats, birds, and humans all move together in a slow, harmonious cadence, extending the meditative rhythm established through the night. As sunlight strengthens, the river reflects a soft golden glow across sand, boats, and reeds. Shadows stretch longer and fade softly. Distant temples glimmer faintly in the growing warmth. Birds fill the air with gentle song. Families move deliberately, beginning their morning routines fully but without haste. Their actions synchronized with the subtle rhythms of the river and its banks. Even as night departs, the hypnotic calm of the Nile remains, guiding every element toward the steady continuity of day. And as the first light touches the river and the land, the world along the Nile awakens gently, carried forward by the steady rhythm of life. Boats float softly, reeds sway in the morning breeze, birds sing quietly, and families rise with calm deliberation. Lanterns fade, temples remain serene, and the river continues its patient flow. In this timeless, reflective rhythm, the Nile holds all life along its banks in a gentle embrace, offering peace, safety, and continuity as night transitions fully into day.